Very good. At this time, the chair recognizes Mr. Garcia for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Administrator Nelson. This is a special treat for me as a former naval aviator and now legislator. I envy you of your position and thank you for your service, not only in the Army and in Congress, but where you are now and obviously with the prior space experience. I appreciate the sentiment of unity in pursuit of progress and security that you alluded to at the beginning. I think that's important. And looking forward to serving with you on this journey, especially during this transitional phase. I come from California's 25th congressional district, which is home to Plant 42 in Palmdale, Lancaster, Antelope Valley. We have Edwards Air Force Base right in our backyard. So X-57, X-59 are actually being built in my district. We have JPL just outside of our district to the south, Boeing, Raytheon, SpaceX. Pretty much every major defense and aerospace and space provider within a 50-mile radius. So a lot of employees, a lot of revenue, and a lot of interest and equity, frankly, in our NASA program. So I really appreciate this opportunity. I want to just touch on, I think, what Mr. Adderholt was alluding to at the beginning, and this is true in all transitional phases, especially with major programs that start with B, in terms of billions of dollars. As we pivot to new leadership at the national level, can you just talk to how you personally and how NASA is ensuring that we are looking long for lineup, that we're looking for consistency and maintaining visions and missions that are consistent with what industry and NASA has been planning to over the last, call it 4 to 6 years, and how are we imparting sort of a consistency in acquisition strategies to make sure that we're not disincentivizing or dissuading some of these key prime partners from participating in competitions? And we're all fully aware of the protests going on. I don't want to necessarily talk about that directly here, but it does raise some concerns about changes in the acquisition strategies and making sure that it is a transparent and clear playing field and not one that's either changing the way we buy things or the way we value things in competitions. But more importantly, I think that the macro question is, how are we maintaining that long-term vision and mission, the mission to the moon, the mission to Mars, and maintaining a consistency on programs that in some cases have 20-year trajectories?
Well, it started 11 years ago when Kay Bailey Hutchinson and I wrote the bill that set NASA on a dual track. One was the commercial track, and the other was to get NASA out of low Earth orbit and go explore the cosmos. Now, you have very accurately pointed to the need for competition. You have my commitment on competition, but this is where you all become extremely important partners in this whole competition, because if we are going to the surface of the moon with humans, it is going to cost some money. And one of the things that NASA was facing before my time and that decision was made was that they had asked for that human landing system in this current fiscal year, $3.4 billion, and only had $850 million appropriated. And they just simply didn't have enough to keep going forward more than one lander. But there's going to be plenty of opportunity. Now, assuming that the bid protest is not successful. If the bid protest is successful, and of course we're in the blackout period until about August the 1st, then what you have is if it's successful, then everything starts over and you do the competition. If it is not successful, then according to NASA law and as NASA's policies and procedures and the federal acquisitions regulations of the United States government. What's been done is done. So your competition goes forward. And that forward is all the additional landings, because this first competition was only as a demonstrator to show that you can land and bring humans safely back home. There are many additional landings that are planned for on the moon. And may I suggest to you that you, the Approach, as a partner, you've got an opportunity to put over about $5 billion in the jobs bill. We've already communicated this to your committee staff. Specifically, we named about 5.4 billion on the human landing system, and that would be, at the end of the day, producing jobs because of what you and the others have already outlined. And in addition, 200 million could go in the jobs bill for the Artemis suits that we've got to continue to develop. That's the EVA suits, the extra vehicle activity suits. And then, as I mentioned to your colleague in a former conversation today, about 585 million on the moon to Mars propulsion, the thermal nuclear propulsion. And so there's a good opportunity right in the jobs bill. Now, while I'm on the jobs bill, may I also say part of the jobs bill is infrastructure. Well, look at the NASA facilities in your state, Congressman Garcia.
Absolutely.
There's aging infrastructure that is dilapidated at Ames and at Armstrong, and for that matter, at JPL. JPL, of course, is the Cinderella center right now because of these fantastic accomplishments. But look in Congressman Adderholt's area. They've got an administration building that they're going to have to tear down. Look in the congressman from Mississippi, Stennis Space Center, and look right down at Michoud in New Orleans, which is tied up with the Marshall Space Center. They've got holes in the roof where they're putting together the core of the SLS. So we estimate that to be about another 5.4 billion just in infrastructure that you could put in the jobs bill. So you all can really, really help us. And when Congressman Adderholt, if he's not back, I want to say again to him what I just said to you about Marshall and the one down in New Orleans, Michoud, because this would really, really help. And that's a place where you can do it, and it can be done and appropriated this year, even though it would be appropriations over the next 5 years.
Sure. Well, thank you, Mr. Nelson. I'm out of time. Looking forward to partnering with you on these very topics and programs. I yield back, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Wow, are you ever out of time? But we're not docking you. We know it was a witness,
No, you got to dock me, Mr. Chairman. I'm responsible for that.
Yeah, it was. I heard that the voluble nature of our witness only happened because he went to the Senate. He didn't talk quite as much when he was a member of our people's house. But
Well,
thank you,
true.
Mr.
It's true
Administrator.
that senators don't know how to shut up. I agree.